Good morning. My name is Kevin Hicks. I'm pastor of Conyers Presbyterian Church. It is Monday, October 26th, and time for the Monday morning message. I'm going to read some scripture to you. This comes from Leviticus. These are unclean for you among the creatures that swarm upon the earth: the weasel, the mouse, the great lizard according to its kind, the gecko, the land crocodile, the lizard, the sand lizard, and the chameleon. These are unclean for you among all that swarm. Whoever touches one of them when they are dead shall be unclean until evening. And anything upon which any of them falls when they are dead shall be unclean, whether an article of wood or cloth or skin or sacking, yada, yada, yada. It's so important stuff, right? I mean, who knew the gecko was unclean? Later in Leviticus, we have, when there is on the skin of one's body a boil that has healed, and in the place of the boil there appears a white swelling or a reddish white spot, it shall be shown to the priest. Priest, not Presbyterian minister. I have no need to see anything like that. Chapter 15, concerning bodily discharges. We're not going to read that one. Let's see. Chapter 18, sexual relations. Yeah, we're going to skip that one too. Chapter 19, ritual and moral holiness. This one I actually read in church on Sunday. You shall not hate in your heart any one of your kin. You shall reprove your neighbor, or you will incur guilt yourself. You shall not take vengeance or bear a grudge against any of your people, but you shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord. There's a nice one. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. Right there in Leviticus. If we go to the next book, Deuteronomy, there's a really famous passage, Deuteronomy 6:4. It goes like this: Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord alone. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. That's let's go ahead and keep reading. Keep these words that I am commanding you today in your heart. Recite them to your children and talk about them when you are at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you rise. Bind them as a sign on your hand. Fix them as an emblem on your forehead, and write them on the doorpost of your house and on your gates. So the Israelites considered all these rules a gift from God on how to live a good life, how to be content in this world, how to be in relationship with God. But there's a bunch of them. I mean, I'm told there's 613 rules in the Old Testament. And so rabbis were always trying to figure out which one's the most important. And that was an ongoing discussion. The other passage I read on Sunday morning came from the Gospel of Matthew, where Pharisees are trying to trap Jesus. They're trying to get him to deny the law, which would be blasphemy. And so they ask him, what's the greatest commandment? And his answer stumped him, because it referenced that Leviticus passage about loving your neighbor, and the Deuteronomy passage, which was known as the Shema. It's a prayer that the Jews would have been intimately familiar with. But Jesus says, for the greatest command, that you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. So right from Deuteronomy. This is the greatest and the first commandment, and the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments, all the law and the prophets hang all the law and the prophets. Either way. And so Jesus kind of simplifies it for us, so we don't have to worry about boils and geckos and goats and all that kind of stuff. We just realize that it's about loving God and loving each other. What I said on Sunday morning was it's like two hinges on a door. If they're aligned properly and using both of them, then everything is smooth and it works well. So this weekend, I built two bookends. And for me, they're going to represent that same thing. The idea that one of them would be represent loving God and one loving neighbor. I'll put it on my desk. I'm gonna show you. Let's see if I can flip the camera. So these are the bookends I made. The wood from the cross is from the floor of a sanctuary. Roswell Presbyterian, where I grew up, built a new sanctuary in the 70s, and they used wood that was salvaged from another building that came from Savannah. And so the wood could be 100 years old. I don't know how old it is. It was old when Roswell built it in the 70s. And then they grew and had to build another sanctuary, so they tore that one down. And some of the wood is used for the floor of their history room. Other boards, I don't know where it went. Somehow my dad ended up with a few, 2-foot long boards that have collected dust for, ever since they tore it down and built the new one. When he downsized, I got it, and it started collecting dust in my garage, and then I decided it was time to use it for a project. So these crosses have a lot of history and are very old, and that what they remind me is not to overcomplicate things, to on one hand love God, and the other hand love our neighbor, and not get too in all the different little rules that we have, because what Jesus says is loving God and loving your neighbor, that takes care of all of it. That's what all the laws are about. That's why we were given the laws, to teach us how to do that. Again, Jesus never said get rid of the laws. He just said, use them properly. Use them to love each other and to love God. So that's my invitation for you this week, is to find a way to love God and love your neighbor. It's kind of like the fundamentals of Christianity. So I hope you find a blessing. And again, that's Matthew 22. I think it starts at verse 36 through 40, something like that. The Deuteronomy passage is in Deuteronomy 6:4, like 6:4 through 8 or something. Leviticus passage is Leviticus 19, 15 or something. I don't remember. I've got it closed now. But Leviticus 19, beautiful stuff that reminds us that it's easier than we think to understand how to please God and discern His will. I hope you have a wonderful week. God bless you, and I'll see you soon. Goodbye.